Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, another Tuesday night live stream. Did you miss us? Did you miss us? We missed you. I can tell you that. We missed our weekly conversations, guys. It feels like last Tuesday was years ago. It feels like a long time ago. But we are back, ready to hit the ground running, gearing up for a massive week 8 of college football. It's going to be pretty dang exciting. Got some massive matchups. Penn State, Ohio State, Alabama, Tennessee, Utah, USC. It's going to be, for lack of better words, pretty dang epic. It's going to be epic. Again, like we said it like in our prediction video, if you thought that week 7 was good, if you thought week 7 was exciting and had some great matchups and things like that, week 8, I actually think has the potential to top that. It's going to be hard to do, right? Oregon, Washington was unbelievable. That was like, think about they were in the games of the year. How lucky are we that we're going to maybe have 3 straight weeks, Oklahoma, Texas, Oregon, Washington, and now Penn State, Ohio State, 3 straight games of classic matchups, instant classics that are going to have a major impact on the playoff standings. So we're going to be breaking that down here in a little bit around 7:30. We were actually going to have a guest on today. You know him well if you've been here before, Connor Hibbett, the College Football Encyclopedia. He's going to be joining us at 7:30 to kind of give us a bit of a mid-season report. We're going to be talking about, the disappointing teams, the surprise teams, updated playoff picks, who the best team in the country is. Do you believe it's Georgia? Do you believe it's Michigan? Do you believe it should be someone else? We're going to be breaking that down as well as a couple other week 8 preview prediction type things. So Connor will be joining us here in a little over 30 minutes. Really looking forward to catching up with him. And again, if you've been here on the live streams before, you've been with him, you've enjoyed his content. And we're, like I said, he's an insider, man. He knows his stuff. So we're really excited to get with him here soon. To the guys that are already here, Robert, good to see you. You nailed it. It's going to be a great week of football. We're pretty dang excited. Flo, good to see you. Yeah, it's going to be very fun. We are in for a very fun night. Carter Galbraith Media, good to see you, my guy. Hello. I'm glad you made it back safe, buddy. And thank you for being here. You should come around more often. Support the family, my friend. Come on now. Hunter5657, good to see you. Finally caught one. We're glad you're here. College football guy, nice to have you here as well. Christopher. If we froze up here. I think we did. There we go. We back? I think so. Christopher Simmons, good to see you, man. Congrats on your big win over Arkansas. I know you weren't too thrilled with it, but win's a win. Big game for you coming up against Tennessee, which we'll touch on here a little bit. And then Gideon, good to see you, my guy. All the way from Germany, making his appearance tonight. So Gideon, super pumped to have you here. As he said, hit that like button. Make sure to hit it. Helps our analytics, guys. I don't know, how the exact YouTube algorithm works. It's one of those things where you're constantly trying to crack it, and right when you think you figure it out, they switch it up on you. But the likes and the comments and the engagement that we get from you guys is what helps keeps us afloat. Kind of helps keep us towards the top of those college football pages when you search for things, whether it's on YouTube or Google. So hit that like button. We appreciate you and your support. Robert has said it. Gideon said it. Good to see you. Stone Thomas takes. Good to have you here, my guy. Nice to have you here. And Carter, come on now. You can comment anytime. We'd love to get your questions and comments. We'd love that. We'd love to get it. Would love to have you around more often and get some more interaction. And my man Mitch Thayer is good here as well. What's going on, man? Nice to have you. I tell you what we'll do is I know we've got a couple guys that do want to call in. College football guy, I know you want to. I know Mitch, I think you had mentioned you wanted to. Hunter typically is like the first caller when we do it. We've got about 30 minutes till we bring Connor on. And when Connor and I have got a set agenda of things that we're going to talk about tonight, but we're also going to take in a lot of your questions and comments in the chat. So we look forward to seeing your responses to what we're talking about. Looking forward to answering your questions as we go on. We'll display it up here on the screen. But I tell you what we'll do. We'll open up the phone lines for about 20-ish minutes or so. Hop on the call with us. Ask some questions. Make them really quick, though. And even if it's saying, ask the question, hang up, we'll answer it here on the stream. We want to get to you guys. We want to hear what you guys are talking about and what's on your mind. So we'll open up those phone lines here for a little bit if you can promise to make those calls pretty quick. So we do want to do that. So let's get the call-in number up there, 870-586-6624. Look at us jumping straight in to our stream tonight. Gotta love it. Right up here as well. There we go. All right, yeah. Flo, do I think Jaden Daniels can win the Heisman? Here's the problem with the Heisman Trophy, Flo. I'll tell you this, and I might get cut off by a phone call here. I'm not sure. Here's the problem with the Heisman. I do think he can win. He has been phenomenal. He has been phenomenal. I love him, man. He's a dog. He has been great in just about every game that he's played. And we are getting cut off by a phone call. But I'll tell you this. I am not a fan of the Heisman committee, and I'll break that down in a second. I guess I've got something against every committee there is. And I'll break that down. But let's get to our first caller tonight so we can get him on here real quick. Get a couple guys on. I know, yes, I love you guys. College football guy and Stone Thomas have some long questions coming, so we will get to those. But who's on the phone with us right now?
Robert, RBERT.
Hey, Robert, how are you, man?
I go, how about yourself?
I'm doing good. Thanks for calling, man.
Hey, I just have one quick question. Do you know how close are we for 24-hour last week?
We are 10 away, Robert. We are 10 away from that.
All right. What do you think is the most underrated game for this week?
Well, we put out our week 8 predictions. I believe that was today. That typically was kind of count. Those are the 5 most underrated games. I really, really like Ole Miss and Auburn. I think that's going to be a fun one. I think, the Hugh Freeze Bowl, his getting to host his former team as compared to traveling to them like he did when he was at Liberty. So that's a game that I think Ole Miss should win and win comfortably, but wouldn't be surprised to see Auburn pull out all the stops and give them a run for their money. So I think that's a game that has some major impacts in the SEC that could be a little bit closer than people think.
All right. That's all for me.
All right. Thanks, Robert. Thanks for calling in, my man.
All right. Have a good night.
You too. All right, man. Robert, thank you for calling in. Great. Good questions. Good questions. College football guy, Stone Thomas. Yeah, long-winded questions. Yes, give us a call next week. Both of you. We'll have a lot more time. We won't have a guest on next week. Connor and I, we talked about it. We wanted to get on with a kind of a mid-season report. He came on right before the season started, kind of shared some hot takes, kind of shared some of his predictions. We wanted to get him on a little bit later in the year after we've seen a pretty good sample size of games that have been played. I mean, I think half a year is a pretty good sample size. So we know who's legit. We know who's not. The contenders and the pretenders. We know those things. And so he's going to kind of come on and share some great insight with us here in about, again, 20 minutes or so. But we'll leave the phone lines open until he hops on. In the meantime, I like this question from Austin, and I'm not going to pull it up on the screen yet so our number can stay up. Why isn't Michigan number 1 yet? Well, Austin, if for our Gridiron Expert rankings, for our GE top 25, they are number 1. We have Michigan ranked as the top team in the country, and for a lot of different reasons. And I'll get to that in 1 second as we get to our next caller. I love it. Hitting the lines early before we get going tonight. All right, welcome to the Gridiron Expert. Who's with us?
This is college football guy. I guess I lied. Never mind. I said the comment I wasn't going to call it.
Hey, what's all right? We're happy to hear from you, man. How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you been?
Hey, doing good. No complaints.
I tell you what, it feels like week 8 is going to be almost a mirror image of week 7. Week 7 with some more good matchups. A lot of ranked versus unranked matchups are kind of a 50-50 toss-up. So it's almost going to be another great week. Maybe possibly a little bit better, but obviously we will have to wait and see. I don't want to hold up the phone lines too long. I know once you get to some other callers, so a couple quick questions I'll ask you, and I'll hang up and let you answer them.
For sure. Let's do it.
So first one. So we kind of have an idea now, who the top teams are and which teams will be competing for a college football playoff race. Out of those group of teams, which teams do you think is being most, disrespected, under the radar type of deal that's not getting the attention it deserves?
Right. That's a good question.
My second question is, of all the undefeated teams that are left, and I know there's still a handful of them, which of those do you think will hold on to go undefeated? And then I had one more question I want to ask you. I think I had one more question I want to ask you, but I can't remember. But I'm going to go ahead and hop off the phone line so you can get to some other calls. So,
okay.
All right, G. Well, thanks for taking my phone call, and I'll talk to you next week, brother.
Hey, you got it, man. I appreciate it. Great questions, too. We're going to answer them right now.
All right. See you later.
All right, college football guy. Excellent questions, and appreciate you calling in and the brevity of the call, so we can keep the phone lines open here for a little bit longer. I'm going to get to your questions, college football guy. I got cut off from answering Austin's, so I did want to touch on his question. Austin, the reason why here's the problem, and I'm guilty of this too sometimes, right? The reason why Michigan's not number one right now is because we're basing it off of, and the AP is guilty of this. I think we're all a little bit guilty of this. Of ranking teams based on what happened the year prior, right? And to an extent, that does need to play a little bit of a role. I mean, here's the thing. You don't have to have rankings, but we want rankings, right? If the AP said we're not going to start ranking teams until week 3 after we've seen some teams play, well, that would be kind of difficult to do. What's the measuring stick? If, how do you, if Georgia were to lose in week 2 to, Louisiana Monroe, but there were no rankings there. There were no rankings on the table. How does that affect a team going forward? Would you rank Louisiana Monroe in the top 10 if they started the year at 3-0? No, you wouldn't. So you've got to have rankings there. They're basing it off of the fact that Georgia's won the last 2 national championships. They've won 24, 25 straight games. And so it's one of those things where it's like, until Georgia loses or just has such a god-awful game against a really, really bad team that makes us look the other way, they're going to stay at number 1. I don't agree with that. That's why they're doing it. Georgia has done nothing in the eyes of the AP poll to say we need to move them down. Again, they have won the last 2 national championships. They've won most of their games rather convincing. They didn't look all that great against Auburn. They didn't look all that great against Vanderbilt. And that was the reason we bumped them down. In our rankings, we moved them up to we moved Michigan up to number 1, and we moved Georgia down to number 2. Michigan's won all of their games by an average of 34 points per game. Georgia did not impress me at all against Vanderbilt. Again, if you watched our rankings video, if you do the math on that Georgia game, they won by 17 points. They got 7 points right at the end, right before halftime because of a Vanderbilt interception. Vanderbilt doesn't throw that interception right before half. They play conservative. That's a 10-point victory for Georgia. And then you factor in the fact that Vanderbilt probably should have had that 2-point conversion there later in the game. Now it's an 8-point game. Then Vanderbilt missed a field goal earlier in the game. That's a 5-point game. So really, I mean, again, shoulda, woulda, coulda. You can't base every ranking, every game based off of the missed opportunities. But when you really break down that game, Georgia benefited from a lot of mistakes, which of course were going to happen because it's Vanderbilt that we're talking about here. So they didn't really all that impress me. And I really thought there was a slim chance that Michigan might get the bump, but they're also basing it off of strength of schedule too, Austin. Why is it Michigan number 1? Well, it's because of strength of schedule. Georgia hasn't either, but Michigan hasn't played anybody. And the unfortunate thing, the committee, AP and playoff committee, are going to look at that Kentucky game for Georgia and go, that's a good win. Well, it's not. Kentucky at the time was ranked, sure, and Georgia won by 38, which was phenomenal. And regardless of who you're playing in conference play, to win a game by over 35 points is really, really impressive. But Kentucky's not a good team. That was evident this last weekend when they got destroyed by Missouri. So that win to me does not really weigh as heavily as it should. But it's technically going to count as a ranked win. So that's why it's strength of schedule. Michigan's best win is against who? I mean, honestly, the best team they played so far this year is Rutgers, maybe. And Rutgers, look, they're 1 win away from bowl eligibility, which is great. But no, it's just not. That's why, unfortunately, Austin. College football guy, I wanted to get to your questions real quick before we send that invite to our man Connor Hibbett in a second. You mentioned who among the top teams in the country right now is maybe getting the most disrespected, the most underrated, possibly. And that's a good question, right? I mean, you've got Georgia, you got Michigan, you got Ohio State, you got Florida State. I don't think any of them are getting disrespected. I don't know how you can disrespect Washington after what they just did this last week against Oregon. I don't think you can disregard Oregon. Despite the loss to Washington, they only dropped 1 or 2 spots in the rankings, and rightfully so. They are still a legitimate top 10 team. That was a battle between 2 very, very evenly matched teams, 2 elite teams that, again, to me, is a shame we don't have an expanded college football playoff this year, because to me, if they keep winning and playing the way they do, both should get in, and they won't with the way it's laid out. Man, that's a tough question, man. I don't really think many are getting disrespected, if I'm being completely honest with you, among the top maybe 10 teams in the country. I would say my top 2 for you would probably be Ohio State and Oklahoma. And if our man Chris Standing Bear was here, he'd probably fall over in his chair. I think he thinks I hate Oklahoma or something, and I don't. I've got Oklahoma ranked, in our top 10, and rightfully so. But I think a lot of people believe the Sooners should be like in the top 4 right now. I wouldn't put them that high. I'm not going to put Oklahoma that high. I'm just not right now. Texas win was great. Outside of Texas, they beat nobody. They haven't. So Oklahoma, if they run the table, they go undefeated, they go 11-1, whatever, win the Big 12, they'll get in. But I don't think that they deserve it right now up in the top 4. Ohio State, for some reason, is catching a lot of flack from a bunch of people. People try to downplay their Ohio State win. They try to downplay Maryland, which is interesting to me that they've done that. Ohio State's playing really good football. This Saturday is going to be a good measuring stick, right? It's going to, if they beat Penn State, what more can you do if you're Ohio State? We went on the road and we beat Notre Dame, who just torched USC. Then we beat Penn State, who's an elite team. What more do you want from us? I mean, that's 2 top 10 victories right there, which is better than any other team in the country has. So I don't feel if Ohio State's going to complain about not having enough respect and things like that, this is an opportunity to earn it, even though I think they already have it. And then North Carolina, as you just mentioned, I think is another great example. UNC's playing really good ball too. People focus so heavily on Drake May and Tez Walker and that offense, and we're completely disregarding the defense and how drastically that's improved. I mean, you look at this UNC team like last year when they played Miami, if UNC's defense from last year was there this year, that Miami game would have gone into like the 50s, 60s. That 41-31, they still out 31 points to Miami. Yeah, they did, but they shut them down in the second half. They were down 17-14 at halftime and then shut Miami down in that second half. So I give a lot of credit to UNC, man, what they're doing. I'm telling you right now, North Carolina, you're right. I actually like that answer a lot. North Carolina is a legitimate college football playoff contender, and people are failing to realize it. This is a team that's undefeated right now in the top 10, has as good of a quarterback as anybody else in the country, a defense that's drastically improved, an offense that can hang around, and their next 3 games are really, really favorable. So if they don't slip up and choke like they have in recent years where they fall into Georgia Tech and things like that, they win their next 3 games. If they're going to enter those final 3 games against Duke, Clemson, and NC State, probably in the top 8. At least that's where I would have them. That's a dangerous spot. They beat Duke. We know Clemson's beatable. NC State's very beatable. Seeing North Carolina run the table and maybe setting up an undefeated showdown in the ACC championship game between Florida State and UNC, that's not out of the realm of possibility. That's not out of the realm of the possibility at all. So North Carolina is absolutely legit. You need to watch out for them. I like that answer a lot. A lot of fun to watch too. Not only are they a legit team, they're finally putting it all together, but they're fun to watch. And your other part of the question was a team that I could see running the table and actually finishing undefeated out of the teams that are currently there. North Carolina is not one of them. I think they're going to slip up somewhere. I don't know where. I don't want them to. I really would love to see them run the table, at least to the ACC championship. Honestly, if I'm being honest with you, man, I really think, despite us dogging on them, no pun intended, I think Georgia runs the table. I don't know who can beat Georgia. I'm not completely sold on Florida. I'm not sold on Tennessee, even though the game's in Knoxville. Not completely sold on either of them. So Georgia's legit. Michigan, probably not, because I could see them slipping up to Penn State or Ohio State. Those are their 2 toughest tests, without a doubt. And I could see them slipping up to one of them, most likely Penn State, since the game's in Happy Valley. Ohio State could very well lose this Saturday to Penn State. Definitely could lose on the road to Michigan. So I honestly think your best bet's Florida State, Georgia or Florida State, because both teams had such a very, very easy schedule. Easy schedule. And we're talking teams in the top 10 right now. I like what Paxton said. Air Force is a team that very well could finish undefeated as well. Are they going to make the playoff if they go undefeated? No, but they'll make a New Year's Six bowl game. They'll make a New Year's Six bowl, which would be, how awesome would that be, right? Wouldn't we all love to see Air Force in like the Cotton Bowl or the Peach Bowl or whatever? That would just be awesome. Getting to see the triple option and that stingy defense. Like, imagine Air Force against Alabama or something like that. Air Force versus Texas. I mean, God, that would just be awesome. So, yeah, I love Air Force this year. And despite losing their quarterback for a while, I think they're going to be just fine. It's the only concern there. So, good question. Good answers. I love it. Comic Dude, good to see you. Congrats on the big win. You got 5 wins, baby. You are 1 win away from going bowling. And I'm going to tell you, Comic Dude, you're going to get it this Saturday. I don't know how you won either. One heck of a comeback against Michigan State, but you're going bowling. You will beat Indiana, and I feel confident about that. So very, very happy for you. Very, very happy for Rutgers and everything that they've been able to accomplish this year under Greg Schiano. Things finally coming together for them. Jerry Turner, happy to see you, man. Paxton, good to see you. Mark TR, good to see you. Still repping the U, but without a lot of swag. Clemson is at Hard Rock. Yeah, that's going to be a tough game. Tough game. And Connor Hibbett's already in the chat. What's going on, Connor? Happy to have you guys. We're going to send you your invite here in just a few minutes and get you on. We're looking forward to it. Wanted to answer a few more questions before the night really got going. Take that down. Pull the comments back up here. But good to see you. South Texas here. South Texas, good to have you here as well. Does a 12-0 Georgia who loses in the SEC championship miss the playoffs? They don't. No, they won't. Many might say they should just because the strength of schedule really hasn't been all that great. But the problem here's where Georgia's going to get the benefit of the doubt, right? Georgia's going to benefit from Missouri playing good football. There's an opportunity where Missouri's 7-1 when those two teams face off. So Georgia would have the ranked win over Kentucky. They'd have a solid win over Missouri if they go undefeated. They'd have a win on the road at Tennessee, who would probably be a ranked team when they play. They might not be playoff contenders at the time unless they beat Alabama. If they beat Alabama on Saturday, all bets are off for Tennessee. That game in Knoxville could be massive in late November. But they would have a couple quality wins on their schedule that would benefit Georgia. And again, they lose in the SEC championship to who? They lose a close game to Alabama. They lose a close game to Ole Miss. They lose a close game to LSU. Whoever it may be, it's just not going to be enough to kick them out. It's just not going to be enough. So, but a valid question, a very valid question. Gideon had a question I wanted to answer up here. Don't worry, Gideon. I didn't forget you. Which team or which coach has turned the tables in the last couple of weeks? Neil Brown is obvious after what he's done at West Virginia. Mike Gundy after a 2-2 start. Iowa State, Arizona, Brent Pry. Wouldn't go all the way to say Brent Pry yet, although Virginia Tech looking better than we thought they would. I got to go Arizona, man. I think Arizona is a good – Neil Brown for sure is a good pick. He was a guy that was on the hot seat, probably should have been – I thought was going to get fired. The way they lost to Houston last week was just gut-wrenching, absolutely gut-wrenching, but fun for us as the fans if you weren't invested in either team. Same for that Colorado State-Boise State game. I don't know if y'all saw the end of that, but if you weren't invested in either team, that was an awesome, awesome ending. Mike Gundy, give him a lot of credit. Never doubt Mike Gundy. On paper, this team does not have a whole lot of talent, yet they had a horrible 2-2 start, a blowout loss at home to South Alabama, and yet have bounced back in a very, very big way with big wins over Kansas State and Kansas. So, which is interesting. You say that. Neil Brown and Mike Gundy face off this Saturday. So, Oklahoma State traveling to Morgantown, that's going to be a big game. Big game, not just for the standings, but for both coaches. Neil Brown, obviously, more so on the hot seat than Mike Gundy, who could just stay in Stillwater as long as he wants. But massive for both those coaches. But I like Arizona, man. You look at Arizona, backup quarterback, Jaden DeLora gets hurt. Everybody just kind of writing them off a little bit. And what are they doing? They are playing phenomenal football. And I saw a post out there, and they're right. Arizona probably should be 6-1 right now. They should be 6-1. They should have beat Mississippi State all the way back in like week 2, week 3. Should have won that game. Went to a couple overtimes and just had so many turnovers, which is, I mean, I don't care who you are. Like that's not going to happen multiple games in a row. So one really bad turnover-ridden game, and Arizona still nearly won that game. And then they should have beat USC, blew like a 17-0 lead, went to triple overtime. Should have found a way to beat USC and fell short. This is a team that's 6-1. They just torched Washington State in Pullman, destroyed Washington State. They're playing really, really, really good football right now. And again, you can't help but wonder what would this year look like had the Wildcats defeated both Mississippi State and USC. USC would already be eliminated from playoff contention. Notre Dame would have taken care of that. You'd be talking about Arizona as a legitimate Pac-12 title contender. They only lost by 7 points to Washington. Wasn't like 31-24 or something. Like they hung with Washington. Actually contained Michael Penix really well in that game. So they're like 4-3 or something like that. But they're a team that very well could be undefeated or 6-1. And Jed Fish doing a great job with Arizona. Finally turning that corner. Should get them to a bowl game this year. Might not be anything super spectacular, but should give you Wildcat fans if you're there, like some hope and optimism for the future. And I guess I'll give credit to Iowa State too, Mitch. I will. They're looking really good. As you tweeted to me, they're 3-1 in conference play. They're looking great. They are still in the Big 12 title hunt. I really, really wish that they hadn't lost to Iowa. I wish they hadn't lost to Iowa, sure, but Ohio. That Ohio game. Shouldn't have lost that one. They beat Ohio. They've got 5 wins. I'm not nervous about them still missing out in the bowl game. The next 3 games, as I told you, Mitch, are winnable. I really believe they're very winnable for Iowa State, but God, I wish they didn't have to win 2 more. I just wish they only had to win 1 more to go bowling. But I know you've got your sights set on bigger things, man, and rightfully so. You're towards the top of the Big 12 standings. You got to believe. And I will tell you this: I do believe in Matt Campbell. I really do. He's legit, man. He's a heck of a coach. So with Matt Campbell, Matt Campbell, we trust, right? At least I do. Let's see here. Let's see. Flo, again, good. Eddie Rose, good to see you, man. Nice to have you. And last question before we bring our man Connor Hibbett into the stream. Well, I guess I'll give you 2. Jerry, who's the leading Heisman Trophy candidate? For me, it's Michael Penix. No doubt about it. He is my leader in the Heisman Trophy after what he did against Oregon. Unbelievable. Caleb Williams certainly been taken out of that equation for me right now. I think if I had to vote right now, it would be Michael Penix. That would be my number 1 pick for the Heisman. So yeah, Gideon, great answer, or a great question. Thank you for that. It really was a really good one. Well thought out. And then let's see, college football guy, next best team in the Big 12 behind Texas and Oklahoma. Standing wise, you could make the argument to be Iowa State, as Mitch would say. And Mitch, thank you for that super chat, my guy. They say Iowa State's back. Screw the casuals. If you're a casual fan, get out of here. Come on now. I appreciate the super chat, my guy. Thank you very much. Statistically speaking, it could be Iowa State. I still have a lot of faith in Kansas State. I really do. I think they've been written off a lot earlier than they need to. The loss to Oklahoma State wasn't pretty. It wasn't good. They lost to a good Missouri team on a 61-yard field goal. They're not a bad team. And so I still think Kansas State is a really, really solid team, although they're going through a bit of a quarterback situation right now themselves. So something to watch out for there. But yeah, I'd lean Kansas State right behind Texas and Oklahoma. But it feels like we're on a crash course for Oklahoma and Texas to meet again in the Big 12 championship. And I would love nothing more than for maybe Oklahoma to be undefeated, Texas only having the 1 loss to Oklahoma. I'd love nothing more than for the Big 12 championship game, the last year in the Big 12 between Oklahoma and Texas, for those 2 teams to meet in the Big 12 championship game, and the winner goes to the playoffs and the loser misses out. That would be epic. That'd be so awesome. What a way to call it a tenure in that conference. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for. Yeah, I'm not invested in either team, but that would be a really, really fun game, an epic game. Rivalry games are great. They're great, but they're even better when there's an extra element added to it. You're playing for a trophy, you're playing for pride. When you're playing for a championship, or when you're playing for a berth to the championship, whatever it may be, that's where it gets really, really good. So I'm looking forward to that. All right, Connor, let me send you the invite, my guy. We're going to get you in right now. Let me go over to my email for you. I think that's it. All right, we should have you on here shortly, Connor. So just sent you over the link. We're looking forward to getting you on. Drake May says, Drake May himself. Drake May's here. Oh my God. Screw the cat. You got to pull that up so we can get you on there. Did not go through, Connor. Let me try that again. Try that one more time. Apologize for the difficulties. Let's try that one. See if that one worked. But let's see here. In the meantime, I do want to just promote. Robert asked it earlier, and I'm gonna hammer it home now. Again, like the stream if you haven't already, guys. We are doing really, really special things with our expert picks right now. We're on a 43-18 run against the spread. It's absolutely ridiculous. Not a shock for us, I'll say. We felt very confident in our picks this year. We're really thrilled with how they're doing. But again, the great incentive that we've got going on right now is if we can get 10 more subscribers to the expert picks, a handful of you have taken that in your own hands, and we appreciate you very, very much. But if we can get 10 more subscribers, we're going to do a 24-hour live stream later this year. We're going to make sure we do it, probably starting it on a Friday night and then running into Saturday so we can watch the games with you guys live. That's what we're hoping to do. So really, really hoping we can get that. We're only 10 away, so spread the word. We'd love for you guys to sign up, but if you're like, I'm not a gambler, I'm not going to do this, go sign up. you're going to win big. I mean, 43-18, you're not going to find another handicapper that does that, guys. You're really not. You're not going to find it for this low price. You're not going to find it for the accuracy, the customer service, the Discord channel that we offer, the premium Discord service that we offer. You're not going to find it. So spread the word. And again, it's a year-long subscription as well, full 365 days. So it's never too late. You could buy when the season ends, and then you'd have it for the entire next season already. It's never too late to sign up for those expert picks. We'd love for you guys to sign up, join with us, and win big with us, man. Win big. We're killing it. 43-18, man. That's over 71%. So again, we'd love to have you guys join. Connor, I see that you're in the stream, but I'm not seeing your face, my guy. I'm not seeing. It's just like a spinning circle. I don't see. I'll shoot you a text. Make sure we got this on. Work that out here shortly. We're going to have Connor Hibbett, the college football encyclopedia, on here with us shortly to kind of give us this mid-season recap. We're looking forward to that. But in the meantime, we're waiting on him. We will answer a few more questions. He's trying to work some things out. But Kenny Evans, good to see you. Like and subscribe. Absolutely. Hit that like button and subscribe, man. We're growing. We're trying to grow as fast as we can, as big as we can. And y'all are a huge part of that, man. You're a huge part of everything that we're doing here. So we thank you all for being here tonight, as always, and being very, very big parts of our GE Nation, man. It's not possible. It's not possible without you guys. Mark, does Manny exercise some demons with a win this weekend against Ohio State? Better defensive coordinator than head coach, but not this Saturday. So you don't think so. You think Ohio State gets the win over Penn State. I'll tell you this. Our Penn State-Ohio State prediction comes out tomorrow, so you'll hear what we think. I will agree with you on the fact that he's a better defensive coordinator than head coach. I won't deny that. The one thing I like about Manny Diaz, man, he's got great passion. He's got great energy. He is just insane. He's an animal. But his defenses are phenomenal. But the way I'll see it, there are just some coaches out there that are not made out to be a head coach, and that's okay. I think everybody just believes that, just like any job, you start kind of low and your goal is to work your way up to the top. And there are some guys that either don't want to become a head coach or just aren't cut out for it. And we're having a couple technical difficulties on Connor's end. Hopefully we'll get him on today. Hopefully we will. Let me see here. Hold on. If not, I hope we are, but if not, we'll open up those phone lines again and we can get some of those longer questions in tonight. We'll see. Apologize about that. But yeah, I think he's a friend. Hey, think about the other coordinators, guys. I mean, you got the best example I can give you is Bud Foster at Virginia Tech. I mean, legendary defensive coordinator, been there for years. He could have had a head coaching job. I believe he could have. I genuinely believe that. Never did. Never took it. There are just some guys that don't want to do it. If you're an Arkansas fan, Chad Morris. I think Chad Morris is a pretty good offensive coordinator. I mean, he did, believe it or not, play a pretty big role in Clemson's rise. But I guess he's like the chosen one. It's like you've got to have balance in the force, right? So it's like if Chad Morris is going to bring one program to power, he's got to cripple another. That's kind of what he did. He rose Clemson to power, ducked, and then completely just destroyed Arkansas in the process. So funny how that works. I don't know, but yeah, it was something else. Kenny Evans, thank you, man. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for your support. Am I going to do basketball watches, like basketball videos or predictions? I guess is that what you're thinking? Kenny, we might dabble a little bit this year. We really might. We've never done that before. Yeah, hopefully Connor can get on here soon. I'm just reading his text messages. No worries, Connor. You're good, man. No rush. We've thought about it before. We've done some before. We always do March Madness analysis here. Always want to hammer some March Madness stuff, and we will do that. But we might dabble with some picks on the expert picks, giving some free basketball picks on there, or if you sign up, so that's another incentive to sign up, become one of those 10 new members that we need. But with football, man, it's so tough. Like once college football ends, there's a lot to recap after the season. Then we kind of do a little bit of NFL because at that point you're in the playoffs. When the Super Bowl ends, though, you hit just this low. You hit this like we are going months and months and months with no football, and it is kind of hard to find some content. You can talk recruiting, you can talk about the next season, obviously, even though it's like 6-7 months out. But we might sprinkle a little bit more basketball there. I know you guys, whoever you're fans of for football, most of you guys are fans of for basketball as well. I'm sure if you would like some basketball content, let us know. We'd love to know if you guys want us to dabble a little bit in that, and we'll happily do it. That's definitely something that we've strongly considered in the past. So if that's something that you guys would be interested in, we can make it happen. Like I said, this isn't possible without you guys. So we are always open to suggestions and content suggestions at that. But Kenny, thank you for your support, man. Appreciate you being here. Go Mountaineers, right? Go Mountaineers, big game against Oklahoma State this Saturday. Really excited for that. Robert, thoughts on Colorado? Look, I mean, it takes a special kind of team to blow a 29-0 halftime lead. I'll tell you that. It takes a special kind of team to blow a 29-0 halftime lead. I don't know what happened last Friday night. I don't know if Colorado got complacent. I don't know if they thought they had the game in the bag. I don't know if they thought they could just go out there and sleepwalk. And even if they did sleepwalk, there was no way this Stanford team was going to find a way to score on 5 straight possessions. Like find a way because man, it's 5 possessions right there. I don't know what happened in Boulder, but what that ultimately did was it prevented them from going bowling. I really thought, Colorado beat Stanford. Arizona's playing good ball. They could have hung with Arizona, but I mean, I can't even remember who else on Colorado's schedule the rest of the way. I think they still have to play Utah. Is that right? Still got to play Utah. Still got to play. I mean, I don't have the schedule in front of me. Regardless, they've got a tough schedule coming up. They've already played Oregon and USC. That's great, but the Pac-12 is so good. They still got some really tough games coming up, and they've got to win 2 games now instead of just 1. How they defeated Stanford. So I think at best Colorado finishes 5-7, and that's at best. They're probably going to miss out on the bowl game. Still a really good year by Colorado standards. That's the funny thing, right? Like most of us would be upset if our team went 4-8, 5-7, but for Colorado, that's good. It's giving them hope. It's giving them excitement. It's giving them something to look forward to. But still, as we knew, a lot of work to do. So that's kind of my thoughts on Colorado right now. One second, guys. I'm trying to work with our man here, Connor. We'll see what happens. It's the worst part about live streams, man. When you're doing live TV and you're doing live shows, when something goes wrong, you got to handle it live. There's no like editing process or anything like that. From a guy personally that's done a lot of live streams, a guy that's been in live radio and live TV before, it's a pain, man. It's a pain. It's so frustrating. So crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. But Connor, no worries, man. We are genuinely hoping to have you on, but if not, we will have him on either next week or the week after, depending on scheduling. But we have a couple other guests hoping to get on here in the next couple weeks. Fingers crossed. Let's see here. Prediction of Illinois, Wisconsin, and West Virginia, Oklahoma State. The Bielema Bowl, the Burt Bowl between Illinois and Wisconsin. I think that I originally would. I think I'm still going to pick Wisconsin. Well, hold on. No, that's in Champaign, isn't it? That's in Illinois, isn't it? Yeah, because last year Illinois went into Wisconsin and just steamrolled, and that ended up getting Paul Chryst fired. Yeah, so it's at Illinois. I pick Illinois. I'm going to pick Illinois because Wisconsin has lost Tanner Mordecai. He got injured, broke his hand against Iowa. Illinois maybe finally found themselves with that road win over with that road win over Maryland, which was big for them. So I'm going to pick Illinois there. Also because Wisconsin's offense just looked – I know it was Iowa. They've got a good defense, but Wisconsin, that is god-awful. It's so bad. So Illinois there. And then West Virginia, Oklahoma State. That's in Morgantown. I'm going to lean West Virginia. I really think, as Gideon kind of said, that West Virginia and Neil Brown, they've been a lot more surprising and better than we thought. I really thought at this point in the year, West Virginia would have fired Neil Brown. I really did. I thought Neil Brown would be gone by now. But yet here we are. They're 4-2, and both teams are searching for their 5th win. This is a massive game for both programs in terms of trying to clinch bowl eligibility, keeping their slim Big 12 title hopes alive, things like that. And I'm going to lean West Virginia. They got some good home field advantage. And they honestly are playing. They should have beat Houston, right? Like it wasn't a pretty game, epic ending. I mean, the you know what? Last thing I'll say on that game too is a message to all players, past, former, whatever. Just score a touchdown, make a play, and shut up. Just shut up. Don't play. Don't celebrate. Don't scream and shout and kick and flash signs and you know, clapping someone's face. Just shut up, because that's what cost West Virginia the game. West Virginia getting in the face of people and getting the excessive celebration and just not closing their mouths cost them the game, because they got that 15-yard penalty, which gave Houston decent field position on the kickoff. You don't have that penalty, Houston doesn't win the game, because they're not throwing a Hail Mary from like the 50-yard line. They're throwing a Hail Mary from like their own 30, 40, something like that. Or they don't even have to try Hail Mary, and they have to do the whole, you know, as Scott Van Pelt says, the pitchy woo-woo. They've got to pitch it all around, you know. It's that's what they've got to do. And so I remember back when Bobby Petrino was still at Arkansas, and I, you know, as a guy that grew up watching Arkansas football, this is what stood out to me. When Arkansas players would score a touchdown, right? It didn't matter if they were up by 30 points. It didn't matter if they had just scored the game-winning touchdown. They got it, and they put the ball down in the end zone and walked off. Maybe some of their teammates come over and jumped on them, gave them a pound back, whatever. But they didn't storm over to the crowd. They didn't go storming to the other sideline. They just scored, laid the ball down, and left, because that's your job. Like, and I'm not saying like take away the fun. You have every right to be excited. You have every right to celebrate. You have every right to get hyped. Do that on your sideline. But when you're still out there on the field, do your job, score, and walk away. Don't talk smack, because ultimately that can cost. I mean, think of all the times you've seen that happen. I just saw a video the other day. Do we not remember the Egg Bowl from a few years ago? Who was it? Elijah Moore scores the potential game-tying touchdown against Mississippi State, hikes that leg up in the back of the end zone, and acts like he's peeing in Mississippi State's end zone. Well, that 15-yard penalty moved the extra point back, and Ole Miss missed it. And I felt horrible for that kicker, because it wasn't the kicker's fault. It was Elijah Moore's fault. Elijah Moore doesn't do that act. Keep in mind, it wasn't even the game-winning touchdown. It was the potential game-tying touchdown. He doesn't do that. They go to overtime, and who knows what happens. Maybe Ole Miss wins, maybe they don't. I don't know. But just do your job and shut up. That's it. Celebrate on the sideline. Celebrate after the fact, whatever. But when you're out there on the field, don't be a fool. And we see so many teams so many players that cost their teams games, put their teams in bad situations. They prevent them from getting a first down. They prevent them from getting a touchdown. They do what West Virginia did. And it's like, why? Why? What did you gain from that? What is there to gain from that? See, and I know sometimes you get caught up in the heat of the moment. I get it. I do. But there's just no reason for it. There's just no reason for it. Just do your job and move on, and then celebrate after the fact. There's nothing wrong with that. Literally, if you're any offensive player, you're going to score and you're going to get your ass over to the sideline, because you're not going to stay out there for the extra point unless you're going for two. So you're a wide receiver, touchdown, back to the sideline. Quarterback, threw a touchdown, back to the sideline. There's nowhere else for you to go. You don't need to go anywhere. You don't need to go to the other sideline. You don't need to go to the stands. You scored, now leave. Done. It's just really, really irritating for me as a fan. I'm not even a fan of West Virginia or Houston or Ole Miss or Mississippi State. In front of me, is any team put themselves in a bad position because of a stupid decision by a player. Marco Wilson, another great one. That's a good one. That's an all-timer, right? Throwing the shoe cost Florida their potential playoff hopes because of throwing the shoe. What are you thinking? What was there to gain from that? Did you think throwing the shoe meant that he wasn't going to get back? Did you think throwing the shoe meant that it's just, again, he's a moment, but you got to keep your composure. Got to keep your composure. It's like that scene out of Old School with Will Ferrell, right? Sitting there banging the chairs all over the locker room. Keep your composure. He's screaming it. That's what these players got to start doing, man. It's really unfortunate. Let's work with our man Connor here. Let's see. Yeah, we'll give it a shot here. We're going to give it a shot. He's going to try using his phone. We're going to see what the quality of that looks like, quality and sound and stuff. If it doesn't work or anything, we'll try it again another time. We apologize to all of you guys for the technical difficulties. But, excuse my rant there. Touching a couple other questions here. What's going on, Mike? Good to see you, my guy. Nice to see you, Mike. Happy to have you here. Big game for you coming up on Saturday with Duke. Who would have thought Duke and Florida State would be a nearly top 15 matchup? That is, in football at least, maybe in basketball, but like, wow, that's going to be fun. And I really hope, just for the sake of entertainment purposes, I hope Riley Leonard is healthy and good to go. You know, if you think about it, he got hurt against Notre Dame, then they had their bye week, and then he still sat out the NC State game, and Duke still dominated that game. So I hope that Riley Leonard is good to go, so Duke's at full strength in that game. If I were Florida State, I would want that personally. I'd want to get Duke at their full strength so that no one can talk about, So, but I am excited for that game. Our prediction video for that Duke and Florida State comes out on Friday, right before the game. So there you go. Stone Thomas, has Boise State fallen off a cliff? They have, and I'm going to venture to say that this is probably the last year under Andy Avalos. That's going to be my take on Boise State. This was a team that was very, very experienced, a very veteran team. Veteran quarterback, Taylor Green was looking good. George Halani, a very strong defense with a coach that's a defensive-minded coach. And I know Boise State's been beat up. I know they've had injuries and things like that. But to be, 3-4 through 7 weeks, blowing that 20-point lead to Colorado State, losing late against UCF. I mean, it's a lot of missed opportunities for Boise State. And I just think that for a team that's been so used to contending for Mountain West championships, for a team that I think used to contending for New Year's Six Bowl, a team that hasn't been to a New Year's Six Bowl game since 2014, the year the New Year's Six became a thing. They played Arizona in the Fiesta Bowl. It's just a really bad look. So, yeah, I think they've definitely fallen off a cliff. And also, Thomas, what's happened with that is the Mountain West has gotten better around Boise. For so long, there was no one there to compete against Boise State in that conference. And now you've got Wyoming's playing good ball. Air Force is playing good ball. Fresno State's been playing good ball. Utah State a few years ago was really, really good. San Jose State a few years ago was really, really good. So, like, the talent has gotten better in the conference where for years and years and years, no one could match Boise State. So I think it's just one of those things where they've been so dominant, but now they've met their match. So it's kind of a bad time to be a Bronco. That's for sure. Let's see. A couple more. We've got Connor on here. Let me see if I can pull him on here 1 second. Text him real quick. See. Hopefully we can get him on. What's going on, Graham? Good to see you, my guy. Nice to have you here. Do I think that Sam Pittman will be fired? No, I don't. As badly as I would love for him to be gone for Arkansas, I don't think that he will. Kind of like I talked about last week, Arkansas is just a very complacent program. They're happy with mediocrity. And I just think that Sam he's a good guy, but he's not a good coach. And The problem is Arkansas, in theory, will probably beat Mississippi State this Saturday. They'll beat Florida International. That's at least 4 wins, probably. Maybe they pull a rabbit out of their hat and win all the rest of their home games, which would get them to 6 wins. I don't know. But I think they're going to give them at least one more year after this. And, yeah, it's just I would be shocked if they let him go. I genuinely would. I think he needs to be gone for the sake of the program, but I don't see Arkansas pulling the trigger to do it. Let's see. Gideon. Middle Tennessee at Liberty, 21 apiece at halftime. Yeah, Middle Tennessee has a really good offense. Their defense is just garbage. I'm actually got over here. I got Western Kentucky and Jacksonville State, the big Conference USA matchup, on the big screen to my left here. And I think that's a pretty big one when it comes to the standings. Western Kentucky, kind of the big favorite in the Conference USA, and has somewhat looked the part, but somewhat hasn't either. I'm actually going to pull up one of those other games on my iPad right here. I like to multitask. I don't know about you guys. When it's college football Saturday, I typically have like 4 monitors going at one time. So let's get that one up here right now. But yeah, look, the beauty of this guy, we still got like 4 or 5 more weeks of like football, some sort of football every single day. So that's going to be something pretty exciting. And is Will Hall on the hot seat at Southern Miss? 100% he is, Gideon. 100% he is. No doubt about that. Let's see. And we'll pull up college football guys question real quick, and then we'll see. We've got Connor. We've got good service. I'm not sure if we do. We'll give it a shot. What is going to be the next big upset? Last week it was Louisville falling to Pittsburgh. The week prior was Miami. I don't even know if I would say that the Miami loss was an upset. They were like a 3-touchdown favorite, so it definitely was an upset. Man, I don't know. Well, how about this? How about this, college football guy? I'll look through the schedule right now, and I'll give you my upset pick. I'll give you my upset pick of a ranked team that goes down to a team that maybe they shouldn't lose to. I'm not saying this that I'm going to actually pick this to actually happen. I'm just saying the possibility of it happening. Scroll to the schedule here. Give me either South Carolina over Missouri or Houston over Texas. Give me that. Give me those two as potential. Not saying they're going to happen. The South Carolina game is really interesting to me because I like Missouri a lot in that game. The Gamecocks are struggling right now, but this reminds me exactly of the same spot these two teams were in last year. If you go back and look, South Carolina was on a tear last year. They had just cracked the top 25. They were riding all this momentum. And Missouri goes into Columbia and beats them. And it was like, whoa, what the heck just happened? And now I feel like the roles are kind of reversed. Missouri's on a roll. They're hot. South Carolina is just mediocre. Missouri's back in the rankings, number 20 right now. And I'm not saying South Carolina's going to win, but it would not shock me, especially with the state of the program. Right now, that sense of urgency that they've got right now. So definitely something to watch out for there. Let me shoot Connor a text real quick, see if he's ready. We've got about an hour. I know we're not going to have as long. Let's see. Shoot him a text. In theory, he can see. I don't know. I think he's on his phone. And we'll see what the service is like with that, too. It's not very good. If it's too grainy, we'll give it another shot later on. But great question there from college football guy. No doubt about it. All right, let's bring Connor on. We're going to get him on here. We're going to see how this goes. Technical difficulties, again, on live streams and any live sporting events suck. But let's get college football guy on here with Connor Hibbett. Connor, can you hear us? Maybe not. I'm not sure.
Yes. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. It's kind of back and forth. I think that it's the there's a delay. That's for sure. I'm afraid of. Let's see. Yeah, I think we're losing him. I think we're losing him. We can't hear on his end. And there's a bit of delay, I think. Again, I hate horrible internet, and I hate live streams. Then we lost him. I think we lost him. All right, we apologize for technical difficulties. We're just gonna run the show the rest of ourselves. We'll try Connor again next week, or next week, or the week after that. We'll give it a shot then. So, Connor, we apologize, man. We appreciate you giving it all. You give your all, try to get you on here. We apologize for that. But don't worry, we will get you on very, very soon. We gotta get you back on and talk about this stuff. Real quick, we're gonna reopen the phone lines for you guys to call back in here in a second. Don't worry about that. Ty Halpern, thank you, my guy, very much for that super chat. That goes a very, very long way. You and Mitch and Kenny coming a long way tonight. What odds do I give the Ducks to win out the regular season? Ty, I think you're going to like my answer. And I'm going to give them very good odds. And that might come as a shock to a lot of people, right? But here's the thing. All right, I take my back a little bit. They will win every game left on their schedule, Ty, except for possibly Utah. Because Salt Lake City is where dreams go to die. Like, bottom line. If you are an elite contender, you do not want to play in Salt Lake City. And Utah, of all people, would know that. I mean, we have seen multiple years where Oregon has entered Salt Lake City with college football playoff aspirations late in the year, and the Utes have just torched them. This is a team that's like 18-1, I think, 19-1 at home, dating back to 2020. This is a really, really, really good team. It's weird. It's weird. Like they're so good at home, and they're like 8-8 the last 3 years in true road games. Like it's just wild. So I really like Oregon to run the table, with the exception that Utah. I think they're going to beat USC in Eugene. I feel very confident about that. USC's offense is great. Defense is garbage. This Oregon team has them beat on both sides. I think they can hang with them offensively. I think they are significantly better defensively in the games in Eugene. They get to host Oregon State in Eugene. That's going to be a big game, maybe Pac-12 title implications. But based on what happened at the end of last year, a little bit of revenge on Oregon's mind, no doubt about that. I like their odds quite a bit. So, and here's the thing. I actually think Oregon can beat Utah. I think they can beat Utah as long as Cam Rising doesn't play. And the thing is with that, that's in 2 weeks, right? That's a week from this coming Saturday. That's coming up. Utah's got USC this Saturday. And so if Cam Rising does not play against USC and he miraculously comes back to play Oregon, I actually think that benefits Oregon. Because you're going to play a guy against an elite Oregon defense who hasn't taken a snap in nearly a full year. And you expect, I just think Oregon, despite having to go to Salt Lake City, does catch Utah at a really bad time. Right off that USC game, whether they win it and they're fresh off the high or they lose it and they're hungover, with no great quarterback play in sight unless Cam Rising starts to play again. And I don't think we're inching towards that. I think if I'm Cam Rising, I'm not playing at all this year, if I'm being honest with you. Utah has done well without him. 5-1, the number 14 in the country. You already lost to Oregon State. I think if anybody if you're Kyle Whittingham, you're not going to admit defeat, but you got a Utah team that still has to play at USC, host Oregon, at Washington, now at Arizona, which could be a bigger challenge than you thought. I don't see Utah running the table and making the Pac-12 championship or making the playoff or anything. And so if I'm Cam Rising, I'm like, might as well not rush back, heal entirely, and maybe I get to come back one more time next year. Maybe that would be what I do. So Ty, odds, you want a percentage? I'm going to give Oregon in like 80% roughly. That Utah game holds a lot of weight. If they beat Utah, they will win out, which could set up a massive showdown against Washington again in the Pac-12 championship game. How epic would it be? Last thing, and then I'm going to open up the phone lines again. And Ty, thank you again for that super chat. Thank you very much. And Tom Piper, good to see you. Tom, so happy to have you here, my guy. Great to see you. Picture this. Picture this with me. Imagine. All right. The Big 12 championship. Undefeated Oklahoma, one loss, Texas. Undefeated Oklahoma, one loss, Texas. That's the Big 12 championship. The Pac-12 championship. Let's say undefeated Washington, one loss Oregon, or one loss Washington and one loss Oregon. Either way, the winner gets into the college football playoff. SEC championship. Undefeated Georgia, one loss Alabama. That one might be more of a stretch. Really could be a little bit of a stretch there. But picture it. Undefeated Georgia, one loss Alabama. Both teams get into the playoff if Alabama wins. They would. Georgia's not getting out if they go undefeated. And then who else? ACC. Undefeated Florida State, undefeated North Carolina, possibly. Like, we have so much football left to be played, guys. Like, I mean, we're going to see so many upsets. We're going to see so many things that we're, like, not expecting. But, like, there is a possibility that we could enter Championship Saturday, that championship weekend, with all Power 5 conferences, right? That'd be all of them. SEC, ACC, Big 12, Pac-12, and Big 10 wouldn't be because no one from the West is making it. But it would still be big for whoever comes out of the East. So four of the five Power 5 championship games could be a play-in game for the college football playoff. Think about that for a second. Think about how epic that would be. I mean, I'd freaking love it. I mean, dear God, I think that would be the best championship weekend that we've ever seen in the history of college football, and probably would never be topped again. I mean, just imagine that. Right now we enter so many like Selection Sundays. We make it out to be this big deal, but we enter Selection Sunday pretty much knowing who it's going to be, right? Like we enter Selection, it's like, yeah, this team's number 1, this team's number 2. There's never any drama compared to like the NCAA tournament selection show where it's like, yeah, you know who your 1 seeds will be, your 2 seeds, you know who the locks are, but there's some teams around the bubble that you're praying your name will get called. We don't have that excitement and that anticipation for college football Selection Sunday. The championship weekend, that would be our Selection Sunday. That would be the opportunity to see these teams fight it out for a shot. I mean, that would just be so, and that's what I'm hoping for. I'm an advocate for chaos. You know I'm an advocate for chaos. I love chaos. I want to see madness happen. I want to see upsets. I want to see good games. And we have an opportunity to see that in every single Power 5 championship game this year. So that'd be pretty freaking awesome. So keep that in the back of your mind as we go closer and closer to the end of the year. No doubt about that. Just picture it. Mike, good to see you. What's going on, Mike? Nice to have you here, man. Super happy you're here. It's been a while. It's been a hot minute. Mitch and a handful of you guys are saying to save Cam Rising for the Pac-12 or for the Big 12. Yeah, why not? Right? Like he's pretty much out of eligibility. But if you got a guy that tore his ACL back in January, he doesn't play a single snap the rest of this year, he can get that red shirt, medical red shirt, and play one more year. He could do that. And I would. Like I think he surprised a lot of people by announcing his intentions to return or planning to return to Utah after his solid last few years. But now, I mean, and it's one of those things too where it's like, I mean, I don't know. I feel like I'm looking at Utah here. Like if Utah beats USC, then yeah, if I'm Cam Rising, I might come back because that would propel them into the top 10. And they're thinking, okay, we could make a run for a third straight Pac-12 title and maybe even the college football playoff. That is a possibility. Get to host Oregon. The toughest game left in their schedule outside of Oregon would be on the road at Washington. And what a battle that would be between Washington's offense and that Utah defense. So, you know, if you're Cam Rising, you might try to get back for the Oregon game. But if you lose to USC, I don't know if I'd rush it because you're not going to win the Pac-12. That'd be 2 conference losses. You're not making it if you lose to USC. So the best you can get to mediocre bowl game. Why would I want to rush back and play 5-6 games at the max? Whereas I could just say, you know what? Give these younger guys some opportunities. I'm going to sit back, continue to heal, be 100%. I'll be back next year in the first season in the Big 12, and a Big 12 that I think we could win in our first year there. And I do believe that. I think Utah could win it in their first year there. So definitely something an argument to be made both ways. Jerry, odds that we see a one-loss team in the playoffs, probably pretty high. Because here's the bottom line. You know, Georgia probably is going to run the table. I would imagine that. Michigan could run the table, but even if they, there's a chance they keep getting into one-loss team, lost to Penn State, lost to Ohio State, who knows? Same with Ohio State, same with Penn State. I think you're bound to see one. I don't think you're going to have 4 teams in there that are all undefeated. I think one team is getting in with one loss. Don't know who it's going to be, but someone's getting in with the loss. Probably the 4 seed, but I think they get in. Don't know who. Let's see here. Darkest timeline, no SEC team in the playoff is still a possibility. Yes, it is. It is alive and well. More well than you realize. Talk about scary in this spooky month of October. Let's see here. I like this from Doggy here too. If Washington, Oklahoma, Florida State / North Carolina, and Michigan go undefeated, and Alabama beats Georgia, that's what will get us our one thought and possibility to happen. I think you're right. Well, yeah. I mean, that would be the drama on Selection Sunday, right? I mean, because Washington has to go into Washington's in if they go undefeated. Oklahoma's in if they go undefeated. Michigan's in if they go undefeated. You can make the argument that Florida State or North Carolina could get left out even if they're undefeated. Alabama beats Georgia as what? A 1-loss team or a 2-loss team? 2-loss, 100%. I would be surprised if they left out a 1-loss Alabama team that wins the SEC. But that's where your controversy comes in, right? How do you leave out an undefeated Florida State team? Let's say they win it. How do you leave out an undefeated Florida State team that wins the ACC, who beat LSU, who beat Clemson, who beat North Carolina, who beat Duke? How do you leave them out over Alabama, who, did have a loss to Texas, but beat Tennessee, beat LSU, beat Georgia, who would be undefeated possibly at the time? Like, how do you do that? So that's where the controversy would come in. And God, can you imagine the backlash if the committee left out an undefeated conference champion like Florida State or North Carolina? That would be ridiculous. So you're right. But you know what? It's not unrealistic. It's not. It is not unrealistic. So that would be your one thought and possibility to happen where the SEC doesn't get a single team in. SEC also wouldn't get a team in if, like, say, Georgia loses soon. Georgia loses to Florida. Georgia loses to Tennessee. And then loses to Bama, who loses to – I mean, the SEC is just beating up on each other this year, and the SEC is not nearly as strong as it's been in years past. Christopher, what if Texas beat Oklahoma with 1 loss and Oklahoma is undefeated until then? Then I think Texas would get in. I think Texas would get into the playoff. If Texas finishes the year at 12-1 with a Big 12 title and gets revenge over Oklahoma, then I think it'd be very hard to leave Texas out. The kicker is this, though. 1-loss Texas wins the Big 12. 1-loss Alabama, whose loss was to Texas, wins the SEC, who gets in. In theory, if you want to honor head-to-head, you'd put Texas in. But strength of schedule would probably favor Alabama a little bit more. So that's something to keep in mind, too. Talk about controversy there. And that would make me really mad, too, if they left Texas out. Like, 11-1 Alabama, 12-1 Alabama, 12-1 Texas. Who gets in? It should be Texas, and it shouldn't even be up for debate. Because if you go, well, we're going to put Alabama in because of strength of schedule, then it's like, then what was the point of Texas even beating Alabama? Where's our reward for beating this team when our resumes are very, very similar? You just wait, guys. Halloween night, we're going to be on here with our live stream. We got that's the first set of playoff rankings are set to release on Halloween night of all nights. And we'll be here with you guys live, watching the rankings coming out live. And just from then on, every Tuesday when they release those rankings, I have a feeling we're going to probably need to take our blood pressure medicine or something, because it's going to make me livid. It's going to make me livid. Not looking forward to that at all. I'm looking forward to it and not looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to discussing it and talking about it. I'm not looking forward to how angry it's going to make me. Kind of how I feel right now. Connor, I think I saw your comment, man. Did you leave him up there? Yeah, Connor, dude, nothing to worry about, man. I'm sorry we couldn't get you on. We will get you on, whether that's next week or whether it's the week after. Like here soon, we're going to get you back on, man. I apologize for not getting any technical difficulties, man. It happens. It's a pain, man. It always happens. For some reason, they always happen when you don't need them to. Like if you're gonna screw up on me, do it when I don't need, when it's not that pressing. But it's like right in the moment, it always hits you hard. So no worries at all. We appreciate you trying your best to get on there and to hook it up. But we'll set it up here soon for sure. Don't worry. But yeah, don't sweat that one bit. Again, we thank you for giving it your all. Let's see here. Great comments. Make me laugh. Last couple questions here that are at least in the chat. Penn State, Michigan, Ohio State. Does it end in a 3-way tie? My preseason prediction said no. My preseason predictions had Michigan running the table and going undefeated. And that included a very, very, very narrow win over Penn State in Happy Valley. In college football, guy, I can give you a better answer of that after this Saturday. Obviously, Penn State or Ohio State's going to lose, right? We know that. But if I'll give you here's my take, and it won't make much sense to people, but just bear with me. If Penn State beats Ohio State, then Penn State goes undefeated. That's my take. Penn State beats Ohio State, and the Nittany Lions will be undefeated. If they lose to Ohio State, then I think you get a 3-way tie. Bottom line, like that's bottom guys. So like Penn State beats Ohio State. I think they beat Michigan. I think they'll beat Michigan in Happy Valley. Blanking on me. I think they'll beat Michigan in Happy Valley. Michigan will beat Ohio State in Ann Arbor. That's what I think will happen. So that to me is the most intriguing conference race to watch over these next couple months. And Saturday's game is going to be massive. Again, I don't think any of us realize how lucky we are. The fact that for 3 weeks in a row, because let me tell you, week nine is not all that great. Next weekend, it's kind of lackluster. Like as of right now, like I've been looking ahead at the schedules, right? Like week 9, based on today's current rankings, would have 2 ranked versus ranked matchups. That's it. And it would be Oregon, Utah, Duke, and Louisville. So solid matchups, but nothing super spectacular, especially if like Duke loses to Florida State and Louisville continues to struggle, things like that. I think they're on a bye week, aren't they? Yeah, they are. But I don't think we realize how lucky we are that we got Oklahoma, Texas a couple weeks ago, Oregon, Washington last week, among all the other games, Ohio State, Penn State this week, among all the other games. 3 weekends in a row. That is really, really, really special. And again, if Penn State and Ohio State is anything like those other 2 games we just mentioned, we're going to be in for a treat. And it's a travesty. It's a shame that these big-time games are being played early. Oregon and Washington it was like a 2:30 game. I was cool with that. But these big noon kickoffs, man, I think it's a disservice to everybody. I think it's a disservice to the guys watching on TV. I think it's a disservice to the fans that go to the games. Who wants to go watch a top 10 game, a top 10 matchup at 11 a.m. Central Time? If you're on the East Coast, noon, good for you. Or if you're in Eastern Time, if you're on the other side or on the West, you're looking at like 9 or 10 in the morning. Like, who wants to do that? Like, that's just not fair, man. Like, it's not like from a tailgating standpoint. None of that's fun. So, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that. We're going to get to the other questions here. I'm going to respond to this text message here. There we go. Wrap that up there. All right. Let's see here. I like Gideon's question here as well. App State situation similar to Boise's, 3-3 and wins came against bad teams. State of the program, future of the head coach. I think App State's kind of been a king or the king of the Sun Belt for a long time, but it's a really good parallel there because App State has been just a victim of the conference getting better around them, and that's always inevitable, right? Like you have this like rule that you're in power for so long. Well, eventually the common people are going to rise against you. And you look at the Sun Belt, right? Like App State was doing so good, and Louisiana had a really good run there for a little bit. Coastal Carolina's been great. James Madison comes in and acts like they own the place. Troy has been great. South Alabama has been like the Sun Belt's a really deep conference this year, and App State, like Boise State, hasn't been able to do what they've typically been doing and have it work. It's like, oh, we don't care. We're just going to keep doing what we're doing, and we'll still win 10 games. Well, no, because everybody else is getting significantly better. So App State's kind of been on a decline more than Boise. Well, I don't know. They're very similar, Gideon. It's a really, really good parallel there. Two teams that have been so used to success. I think it's the biggest thing, right? These two teams, these two fan bases have been so used to success, and now they're not having it. And it's like, whoa, what is going on? How do we handle this? So I don't think Clark's going to be out this year. It really depends on how App State finishes the year. That's the biggest thing. How does it close out? That's what's going to end up happening there. Same with Boise, right? Like how do they finish their season? What is their final record? Do they turn the ship around? Do they make a solid bowl game? Do they fail to go bowling? Like that, how these teams respond to adversity, that is what dictates your season, you know? So and ultimately, when it comes to teams responding to adversity and how they respond from rough times, that all comes back on coaching. It is the coach's job to prepare these players for every situation possible, the good, the bad, the ugly. And so if you get a mentally weak team, if you've got a team that just comes out there and doesn't look like they want to be there or anything like that, then yeah, that's on the coach, and that's a fireable offense for sure. We see a lot of teams like that already right now. Austin Pruitt says, I'm thinking about dressing like Coach Prime for Halloween. Hey, all right. Got to have the big cowboy hat, the big jacket, the shades. Got to have the sunglasses. So got to have the sunglasses. That'd be a fun one. Let's see here. Good question from We'll take these last few questions, and we might call it a night a little earlier, though. It's been great engagement tonight. College football guy, best conference to get two teams in the playoff, probably the Big Ten or the Pac-12. Actually, Pac-12, I'll take it back. Pac-12's not getting two in because that would require one of those teams to have two. Like USC's already got a loss, Oregon's already got a loss. Yeah, Pac-12 won't get it, but Big Ten could. The big three of Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State would not be shocked to see two of those teams get in there. It just kind of depends on how the rest of the conferences perform. Doggy says, Nebraska didn't respond to adversity so well. You're right. Wonder why. Here's the thing, too, right? I look at Nebraska from the last few years under Scott Frost. I look at Arkansas for Sam Pittman, as you say, Keto. Keto, great to see you. I'm probably about to go on a rant here, maybe. I don't know. You know, we talk about that. You look at Nebraska. What was it, 2 years ago? They were the best 3-9 team in the country. Best 3-9 team we've ever seen. Had like 8 of their 9 losses by one possession. Arkansas right now is 2-5. All but one of their losses has come by one possession. They were beating BYU by 10 in the second half, lost at home. They were beating LSU, lost that game. They were beating Ole Miss in the third or fourth quarter, lost that game. Never let it – well, they actually did. Like 6-0 against Alabama, battled back, lost that game. What does that tell you? If a team continuously fails to deliver in these moments, if a team continuously fails to win the close games, what does that tell you? Yes, part of that is on the players. Part of that is on the team. A lot of it's on coaching, though. Because to me, there's only so many times you can lose a game by a field goal. There's only so many times you can lose a game by blowing a fourth quarter lead. And if you do that over and over and over again, you got to start blaming the coaches. And that's I don't think those guys were Scott Frost was in time. He was held accountable. Pittman has not yet been held accountable because everybody just loves him because he likes to drink cold beers. I like to drink cold beers too. But just because I like to drink cold beers doesn't mean that I get to keep my job. You know? It's really, really frustrating that we fan bases across the country cater to these guys because, but they're a nice guy, or it's early, or he doesn't have his players in yet, or they're so close. The amount of times I hear that, right? Like, we're close. We're a good team. We're better than our record shows. Well, no, clearly you're not, because a loss is a loss is a loss, just like it's a win to win to win. And that's what people don't understand is I don't believe in moral victories. I think moral victories is the stupidest thing in the world because you still lost. Are you seriously going to walk away from a game and go, man, hate that we lost, but so proud of the fight in our boys. They're so good because we took Alabama down to the wire. If you're in Nebraska, we took Michigan down to the wire. Because let me tell you something. You know what the basis of a moral victory is? It's, man, we were so close to beating this one team, which makes us believe that next week we can beat this other team. And you know what? The funny thing is, most of the time that doesn't happen. People think, we almost beat Alabama, so we'll beat this other pretty good team next week. If we can play like that, but you know what? There's a thing called consistency and facing adversity. And it's all about planning and preparation and practice and mindset. Just because you played this way in one game doesn't mean you're going to play the exact same way the next week. You know the teams that do that? Good teams. Your Alabamas, your Ohio States, your Georgias, Michigans, Florida States. We look so good against Syracuse. Guess what? You're going to look good next week as well. We look so good against this team. Yeah, you're going to do it again next week. Why? Because you have good coaches. You know what I'm saying? Like, this whole moral victory mindset is what's wrong with the landscape today. And honestly, what's wrong with a lot of fan bases today, too. There isn't one. There is no moral victory. It's a loss. Moral victory is a synonym in the dictionary for loss. You lost. And a loss by one on a controversial call or a last-second field goal is the same as if you walked out there and got beat by 100. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And so when these teams like Arkansas or Nebraska or whoever your team may be consistently losing one close game, it happens. You think Oregon's going to sit there and cry over their loss to Washington for the rest of the year? No, not a chance. Not a chance. They're going to come out and beat the brakes off of Washington State this weekend. That's what they're going to do. Because Oregon knows all their dreams and their goals are still right in front of them. They're still a top 10 team. They know if they can win out, they win. They go to the college football playoff. You can't dwell on the past. You can't dwell on your previous performances, whether it was really good, really bad, really close, really poor, whatever. You got to put that in the rear view and move on. But I think a lot of us harp on previous weeks. I don't know, man. I just it comes down to coaching, man. Bottom line is, and there's only a handful of coaches in the country, and all of them are at elite schools or have transformed their schools into elite programs that can sit there and take the criticism and also do something about it and make sure their teams are mentally tough. Nebraska never had that. Arkansas's never had that. I think some other teams that haven't had that, but right now South Carolina definitely doesn't have that. South Carolina's got a coach over there that's gonna put the blame on everybody. Talk about maturity, talk about handling adversity. Shane Beamer ain't doing that very well in Columbia. That's for sure. Not even close. Sitting there blaming the officials and the linesmen and the players and the this and the that. Got so mad that he broke his foot. Tweeting at people. Radio hosts that are just doing their job. I mean, come on, man. Grow up. Same with Arkansas and Dan Enos. In fact, that guy responded to emails from students at the University of Arkansas is unbelievable to me. Grow up. Grow up. You are, again, if you are a coach that's getting paid millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars, let's say, oh no, I'm only getting paid $700,000 only. and you can't handle the least bit of criticism from the media, the fan bases, your fellow coaches, then you need to get out and get someone in there that can take it. Because bottom line, for all you people that are in the chat right now or watching later, you go to your job tomorrow and your boss comes up to you and says, hey, man, that last thing you did wasn't very good. Or, hey, I need you to start doing better. Otherwise, we might have to fire you. Or otherwise, you're going to be on my hot seat. And you get all butthurt about it and flip out about it and you're gone. If you can't handle that, if you can't handle criticism, then get out. That's how you get better. And guess what? If you were doing your job the right way, you wouldn't get criticized. Funny how that works. You just do a good job, you don't get criticized. Wow. It's mind-blowing, I know. But for some reason, there's a handful of people out there that can't seem to understand that. And they're getting paid millions of dollars to fail to understand that. You could put second graders that have just learned how to play Madden in the position of some of these coaches, and they do significantly better than some of the guys out there right now. And it's a shame. It really is. It really is. So to answer your question, Keto, is Pittman on the hot seat? His seat is burning in my eyes. Is it a must-win? Probably, because they lose Mississippi State. They're going to lose to Florida in 2 weeks. So I'd put them at 2-7. Even if they won out, they'd be 5-7, but they won't win out because the team's not mentally tough enough. So Pittman should be gone. Will he be gone? No. He won't be because the University of Arkansas is very incompetent. They are. But they do need to win this week against Mississippi State. They need to beat Mississippi State. If you lose, I mean, might as well stick a fork in it, man. Might as well just be done. Great question there. I like this question from C. Glassman. Good to see. Did Caleb lose his spot as number one pick? No. He lost the Heisman, but he didn't lose the number one pick. Look, he's still a great talent, right? Like, would we? Here's the thing with Caleb, right? He's lost the Heisman. I'll give him that. You're not going to go out and win the Heisman Trophy when you throw 3 picks in one game and ultimately they end up losing. USC lose another game or two. I just don't see it happen, especially when Michael Penix is playing the way he's playing, Jaden Daniels is playing the way he's playing, Bo Nix is playing the way he's playing. I just don't see him getting it again. We haven't had a repeat Heisman winner in decades, right? It's been a long time. But you can't throw away his number one draft pick. Like, that's the equivalent of us, like right now, the best quarterback in the NFL is who? I think many of you would answer Patrick Mahomes, right? So if Patrick Mahomes goes out there tomorrow, I know he's not playing tomorrow, but he goes out tomorrow and throws 3 interceptions in one game, like one of the first or one of the few times in his entire career, are we going to sit there and go, yep, he's not the best in the league anymore, I can tell you that. No. Like, we can't overreact like that, right? Back when Tom Brady had a couple bad games here and there. Do you know Tom Brady threw 2 interceptions in Super Bowl 49? Came back and won the game, beat the Seahawks. Do you know he threw that crucial pick 6 against the Falcons in Super Bowl 51? Still led the greatest comeback of all time. Remember when Tom Brady had that horrible game against the Chiefs back in 2014? Monday Night Football, they lost like 41-14. Brady looked garbage. Everybody said, he's done. Won the Super Bowl that year. Like, you can't just completely say they're horrible, they're bad after one bad game. Yeah, you might lose some draft stock. You might lose a Heisman Trophy. You might whatever. But, like, to say that he's going to not be the number one pick, he's still a really dang good quarterback. And honestly, I would ask you this. Say he's not. Say you're a scout and you go, yeah, but look how he played against Notre Dame. We need to draft somebody else. Who do you draft? You need a quarterback. Who do you draft number one if it's not Caleb Williams? Drake May, Bo Nix, Michael Penix. All good quarterbacks, but you know deep down that on a consistent basis, none of them is probably going to deliver the way that Caleb does. So, again, it wasn't very lucky. I like the all caps there, but no, he's definitely not going to lose the number one pick. I don't see that happening. Question is, will Caleb be okay playing for Chicago? Because apparently he thinks he has a say on where he plays. He's like, yeah, I can. If I don't like who has the number one pick, I'm going to stay in college. Okay, do that. If I were an NFL team, I would listen to that quote. And if I were honestly, you're not going to, but if I were all 32 teams, I wouldn't want to hire him. It shows me like a loyalty. Like, shows me that you're entitled. It's an honor to play in the NFL. It's a privilege to play in the NFL. It's an opportunity. to come in and transform a franchise, become the franchise quarterback for But for you to be like, yeah, I'm not playing for you. Where do you think he's going to? I don't like the system. Do you understand what the number one pick means? It means that team sucks. If they had a good system, if they had a good team, they wouldn't have the number one pick. It doesn't add up. Like, you don't like the city? Oh, grow a pair. Suck it up. Sorry, not every place can be bright and sunny LA. All right? But, seriously. If you are that good and you're going to sit there and talk about how good you are, then go show it somewhere. If I'm a player, I like that. If I'm a player, I'm like, I know I'm good. I'm the best there is, plain and simple. Ricky Bobby, for those of you who get it. I would want to show that and build a franchise up. I thought about that like back in like the NBA, right? Like you see like these guys that, even in the NFL, guys that are ring chasing, right? I'm just going to go to a team that's really, really good because I feel like I have the best chance to get a ring there. Kevin Durant going to the Warriors. Best example I'll give you. Well, it's great. Yeah, you won a couple titles there. But guess what? The Warriors are probably going to win with or without you. So how much did you really contribute? But if you're so good, go win it by yourself or with one or two other decent key pieces. The Bulls with Michael Jordan weren't going to go win 6 titles or whatever without Michael Jordan. But they also weren't going to win it with just Michael Jordan. They needed Scottie Pippen. They needed Dennis Rodman. Believe it or not, they needed Steve Kerr. But with Caleb Williams coming out here and saying, oh, I'm not going to go be the number one pick unless I like the team and I like the system, that's very, very arrogant of him because that's just not how it works. It's just not. And I ask you this, Caleb Williams, all right, this year, Chicago's got the number one pick more than likely, and you go, I don't want to go Chicago. Okay, stay at USC then. Next year rolls around. What if it's another team that's the number one pick that you don't like? What are you going to do then? What are you going to do when you inevitably run out of eligibility and you don't like the team that's sitting number one? And I really think he's blowing smoke up everybody's butt. I really do, because bottom line is this. I know he's getting paid a lot in college. I understand that. He might not make as much or much more once he gets to the NFL. Well, in time, if he's as good as he says he is, he will. And bottom line, too, and we all know it, he runs that risk of getting hurt. And then your number one pick status is gone. So you can be all talk mighty, think you're big, you're strong, whatever. But bottom line is, if you choose not to go pro this year because you don't like the team and you tear your ACL first game of next year, you're not going to go number one again. So karma, it sucks. Would be kind of funny if it happened. Not that he gets hurt. I don't want people to get hurt, but it'd be funny to see the karma hit him. Let's see here. A lot of people talking about the adversity stuff. College football guy, do I see Alabama losing in the regular season to Tennessee, LSU, Kentucky, or Auburn? Probably LSU. If there's going to be a team, it would probably be LSU. I'm just not sold on Tennessee right now. I'm not really sold on Tennessee. I was really, really unimpressed with Joe Milton. Did not think he played well at all. Just was not very impressed with his game against Texas A&M. 50% of his passes, 100 yards. It wasn't good. They dominated with their defense. So that's only going to get you so far. LSU's defense is really bad. I think they'll start to figure it out. And Jaden Daniels, like we mentioned, is a Heisman Trophy candidate. So I think if they're going to lose one of those games, it's going to be to LSU. Thomas, do I think colleges should have to disclose player injuries more transparently now that sports gambling is legal? 100%. I'm going to try to make this brief. You're a college player. You got what you wanted. You're getting paid. You're getting paid big money, not just to go to school, but also getting paid in Corvettes and houses and Beats by Dre and just cold hard cash. You are no longer, in my eyes, a college football player. Yeah, it's your title, but you are a G League player. We get injury reports in the NFL. We get injury reports in the NBA. We get injury reports everywhere else. And while college football is technically not considered a pro sport anymore, it has become that. Because we've got free agency period with the transfer portal. We've got new contract deals striked up with the NIL stuff. It is basically a professional sport now. So I see no reason why it is fair for us as bettors or fan bases or even opposing teams for a coach to go, yeah, like the quarterback gets hurt on that Saturday and they go, yeah, I don't know his status. We'll just see what happens in practice this week, knowing very well that he's fully healthy and is going to go. It's not fair to us as bettors. The lines fluctuate based on who's playing, who's not. The opposing team has to know whether to prepare or not. Like, I mean, just you don't even tell us to play. Like, questionable. Even in the NFL, it's like his status is questionable. They might not know until right before kickoff. All I need. When I get that alert on my fantasy football app, that's good enough for me. But yeah, I do believe they should have to disclose those injuries 100%. I don't think it's fair. Because beforehand, if they weren't getting paid, I'd be like, I get it, but they're getting paid now. They're getting all of the perks and maybe then some of professional athletes. And if they're, I don't see it being any different. So yeah. Very, very good question. Very good question. Y'all on a roll tonight, keeping the questions going. Really doing a great job with that. Last few here. Let's see here. I like what I've got from you guys. Eddie, good to see you, Eddie. And congrats on another big win on the road against Kentucky. A little bit of revenge from last year. What would I say if Missouri beats Georgia? Don't forget you have a bye for Georgia, and they will not have Brock Bowers. They probably won't. That loss for Brock Bowers is huge. Huge for Georgia. I can't believe we haven't talked about that tonight yet. So thank you for bringing that up. Carson Beck has lost his security blanket, right? One of the best players in all of college football, and he's done probably for the year. If Georgia gets him back, it probably won't be till the college football playoff, assuming they make it later on in December. It's a bad loss. It's a big, big loss. Georgia still got tons of talent. They got a solid ground game. They've got solid wide receivers. Like, I'm not worried. Like, this isn't going to derail their season, but it's going to put a little bit of a wrinkle in their offense. And Eddie, I'm telling you, man, there's an opportunity for Missouri to be 7-1 when they take on Georgia. And man, I wish that game was going to be in Columbia. I really do. That'd be awesome to see it. But there's a chance to be 7-1. Missouri probably top 15. Georgia still top 4, number 1, number 2 probably. And man, I'm telling you, if Missouri finds a way to beat that Georgia team in Athens, then Eddie, the sky is the limit for the Tigers, and you can start talking about college football playoff. I really, genuinely believe that. I'm looking at your schedule. I'm gonna pull it up right now. Like, Eddie, you should be dreaming, my guy. Seriously. Yeah, you beat South Carolina, you get your bye week, and then you play Georgia. If you beat Georgia, Missouri skyrockets into the top 10. After that, they close the year at home against Tennessee, very winnable. At home against Florida, very winnable. And a road game at Arkansas, very winnable. So, I mean, seriously, man, I think if you beat Georgia, you could finish 11-1. That would get you into the SEC championship game. Man, and then you beat Alabama, you beat Ole Miss, you beat LSU, get revenge over them, and you're going to the playoff. I mean, that's a long ways away from now. Winning in Athens is easier said than done, but watch out, man. Watch out. That you beat South Carolina, and that Georgia game will be massive. A lot bigger than I think any of us ever anticipated or thought it would be. College football guy, good night, man. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the phone call. Great questions tonight, and definitely look forward to talking to you next week. Appreciate you being here every week. It means a lot. What's going on, Christian? Good to see you, man. Do I think Louisville bounces back against Duke after their bad loss to Pitt after getting the bye week? Where is that game? Is that at Louisville? Yeah, Christian, probably. Part of it will depend on how Duke handles the Florida State game. How close is that game? How bad is that game? What's the health of Riley Leonard? Is he healthy for Louisville? Is he not? But having home field advantage for that game and being off the bye week, and despite losing to Pittsburgh, still being in the ACC title hunt, only one loss. Yeah, I would give them the edge over Duke as of now, but don't freak out if I change my pick later on, depending on what happens over the next week or so. Last couple of questions here, and we'll call it a night, guys. Thank you all so much for being here. But if you haven't done it already, make sure to hit that like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Check out the expert picks if you haven't already. We are 10 away from a 24-hour live stream. And I don't think y'all realize how much fun that would be and how exciting that would be. If you like the rants here, imagine a rant with no sleep. Imagine a rant after like 18 straight hours of no sleep. So it would be fantastic. And on a Saturday of all days when we get to watch football all day long. So definitely take advantage of that. GE, should UCLA fans be panicking about Dante Moore? That's 3 straight games with a pick 6. He played horrible against Oregon State. Yes and no. And that's a very political answer. Thank you. I'm pulling up the stats right now. Yes and no. I say no because he's just a freshman. What did you expect, right? He's highly touted, big-time recruit. He's a good quarterback. It's his first year at the collegiate level, like playing some really good teams. I mean, you look at what 3 straight games with a pick 6. But Utah and Oregon State's defense are really, really good. Yes, both those were very, very costly. I mean, you lose to Utah by 7. 7 of those points came off of a pick 6. That's bad. Then Oregon State, you throw that pick 6 right before halftime when you're only down 16-10, and you're driving with an opportunity to either take the lead or cut it to 3 right before half. So, yeah, both came at horrible, horrible times, but it's like rookie mistakes, right? It's his first year. Dumb rookie mistakes that are bound and inevitable to happen. On the flip side, yes, you should be concerned. 3 pick 6s in a row is very concerning. And yes, you look at the year, and I agree, it's a shame that it's been lost. You're 4-2. The win over Washington State was huge. You're not going to go to the Pac-12 championship or anything. We know that's not going to happen with still having a road game at USC, and obviously USC, Oregon, Washington playing the way they are, and Oregon State too, for that matter, and you don't even know the tiebreaker over them. So that's out of the question. But, I mean, look at his stats, man. He's over 1,300 yards, 10 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Offensive line hasn't been all that great. They've given up 20 sacks on the year, so it's mediocre. I agree. The defense has played a lot better than I think we anticipated. But, no, I wouldn't freak out yet. I think he's still the guy. And the beauty of it is the schedule's lightening up, right? They should cruise past Stanford. Despite Stanford's comeback win, should still cruise past Stanford. They should cruise past Colorado. They still should cruise past Arizona State later on in the year. The toughest games left are Arizona and USC, both on the road. Even if you lose both those games, you still finish the year at 8-4, assuming you take care of business everywhere else. And even if you split one of those games, you can get up to 9-3, which would be phenomenal, with him being the leading quarterback there. I think there's still a lot of potential there. It's just one of those things where you can't raise your expectations too high with a rookie. You want to believe, you expect greatness, and I think he'll get there. But the guy against Oregon State was playing in his 6th ever collegiate game. Got to cut him a little bit of slack, even if it is extremely frustrating. So that's my take on Dante Moore. Don't panic yet. Now, if he goes out there and looks horrible against Stanford and Colorado, yeah, maybe we can panic a little bit. But right now, he's played relatively well, all things considered. And if he gets back to his normal ways, good at normal ways against Stanford and Colorado, I would. Pac-12 is so deep this year, man. It's so good, so talented, so many good defenses that he's faced and will face. Utah and Oregon State were really, really good defenses. But honestly, though, those are the best, right? 2 of the best in the conference, 2 of the best in the nation. He's already faced them. Every defense from here on out is going to be a little bit easier than the ones that he's faced so far. And that's a plus. That's definitely a plus. Let's see here. Gideon says he believes it's right. There you go. You got international endorsement from Gideon over here supporting Dante Moore. And I agree with you. Full disclosure, I do. I think Dante Moore's future is very bright. UCLA fans shouldn't be panicking. Christian, last question here, man, and we'll wrap it up. Louisville, let me find them. Record, was that record for the last 5 games? Again, you can't hold me to it. You put me on the spot, and I got to do predictions, and it's like all we do. Christian, 1, 2, 3. No worse than 3-2, Christian. No worse than 3-2. So I'm thinking Louisville can probably clinch themselves a 9-win season. I'm leaning their way against Duke. I think they're going to be. I mean, the beauty of this, man, is you got 4 of your last 5 games at home. That's not very rare that you see that. Louisville plays 4 of their last 5 games at home. It's a really, really favorable schedule. So, yeah, I think you can go 3-2. My holdup's Kentucky. They haven't fared well against Kentucky lately, but Kentucky hasn't looked great lately. They got torched against Georgia, got torched against Missouri. Who is this Kentucky team? What will they be like by season's end? But this is also a different Louisville team. This isn't a Scott Satterfield Louisville team anymore. So, but playing Virginia Tech and Virginia back-to-back games really, really benefits Louisville. They should win both of those. There's 2. Miami. I'll tell you this, Christian. Every game from here on out for Louisville is winnable, and that's a scary thought. Every game from here on out for Louisville is extremely winnable. They won't win them all. I would be shocked to see them win them all, but to see them go 3-2 or 4-1 down the stretch would not be out of the realm of possibility. And for Jeff Brom to come in and lead Louisville to a 9 or 10 win season in his first year, maybe flirt with a New Year's 6 bowl game, and at the least flirt with a New Year's Day bowl game. Citrus Bowl, Outback Bowl, somewhere around there. Who knows what the bowl tie-ins are going to be. That'd be pretty dang impressive in year 1. So, yeah, I'm thinking no worse than 3-2 in the final 5, but very well could see 4-1. So, good question. Hope the best for you. Assuming that both teams are still ranked next week, we will have a full video, Christian, dedicated to Duke and Louisville. Full prediction video right here on the channel. So some in-depth analysis for you, finally talking about your Cardinals, and hope you stop by for it. Hope you stop by and leave your comment and prediction on that video. Again, assuming both are ranked, and I would imagine even if Duke loses to Florida State, they both would be. So there you go. And speaking of those videos, guys, we'll wrap it up with that. Individual prediction videos for the biggest games of the weekend begin tomorrow. That, of course, begins with Ohio State and Penn State in Columbus Saturday morning. Our prediction for that game comes out right here on the channel tomorrow. We'll have that game Wednesday. We'll have 2 more predictions on Thursday. And then we will have a 5th prediction or 4th prediction on the 5th day with – who's that last game? There's another last game on Friday. Duke and Florida State. There you go. That's coming out on Friday. So we have 4 individual prediction videos coming your way starting tomorrow. Go check them out. Go like them. Go watch them. Leave your predictions. We'd love to discuss it with you in the comments. You guys know us. We respond to every single comment, or at least heart it. We read them and acknowledge every single comment on every single one of our videos. Might take us a second to get to it, but we do. No other YouTuber is going to do that. So we'd love to have you guys there. We'd love to have that there to discuss with you. Go check it out. Doggy, will there be a conference tie-ins for non-New Year's 6 bowl games? Yes, there will be. I believe that will remain the case. I do. Certainly will remain the case. Even once they expand the playoff, that will remain the case for sure. Gideon, thank you, man. Thank you very much. I like the comment. Yeah, let's ride. GE Nation, right? Let's ride. South Tex, thank you for that super chat. Goes a long, long way. Every single bit does. Again, we really, really do appreciate it. Been a good night on the super chats. What can we say? But from Mitch, my guy Mitch, South Tex, Gideon, all the way in Germany. Look forward to talking to you next week, man. Enjoy your college football Saturday over international waters. Doggy, Christian Fernandez, college football guy, Eddie Rose, C. Glassman, Keto, Pike making his appearance. Stone Thomas Tate, Walter McKay, my man Jerry Turner, my man DM. We missed. Hopefully he'll be back later on. Connor Hibbett, who we'll have on either next week or the week after, so stay tuned for him. If you want to hear some from the College Football Encyclopedia, stay tuned. We will have him on, hopefully with no technical difficulties. Christopher Simmons, my man Mike, Robert, Hunter 5657, my brother Carter Flobe, and Austin Pruitt, trying to hit everybody here, trying to get Paxton, and everybody else who we may have missed tonight. My man Mark TR, we appreciate all of you. Have a great rest of your night. Enjoy the video starting tomorrow and enjoy your college football Saturday. It's one of the biggest ones of the entire year. And as always, we'll have you covered every step of the way. So good night, everybody. Have a great night. We'll see you right back here next week on the Gridiron Expert.